Okay, hopefully the this third time would be the charm. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm at going back to civilian life. We're at page 16. Wearing your uniform. That's what it says. The topic that we're going to talk about on here. Okay. If you are separated under honorable conditions and are entitled to keep your uniform, you can wear it from the place where you are separated from active service to your home, provided that you go there within 3 months after the separation. Remember that civilians may not be able to tell you are no longer in active service, so continue to act in such a way as to reflect credit upon the uniform of your country. A lot of your buddies are still wearing it, and don't spoil things for them. After you have arrived home, you are authorized to wear your uniform only on occasion for public ceremonies such as military or naval parades or meetings of veterans, military or naval organizations. At such time, you are authorized to wear the uniform for the of the highest grade and rank you held during the war. Officers on terminal leave, yeah, terminal leave may wear the uniform or civilian clothing whenever they prefer. And then it goes to discharge emblem and lapel button. Excuse me. A person discharged or separated from the service under honorable conditions are given at the time of separation a discharge emblem to be worn on the uniform and lapel button or pin to be worn on civilian clothing. Persons who are transferred or returning to inactive duty or are entering the reserves are given only a lapel button. Wearing these symbols proud, wear these symbols proudly. They signify it to everyone that you have served honorably and in the armed forces. I hadn't found the one in here yet. I found a few buttons, but some of them may have been lost. If you were honorably separated from active service and did not receive the discharge emblem and or lapel pin, button or pin, you can issue them free upon presentation of your discharge certificate. And then it's got paragraph parentheses or certificate of service or release papers end of parentheses at any military or naval installations. And that's page 17. Oh, I didn't notice that the paper was shiny. Okay, now we're on page 18. This section says decorations and service ribbons. You may wear decorations or service ribbons which have been awarded to you on your uniform or civilian clothing after separation of the service. It is customary to wear only the highest award in miniature form on the lapel of civilian clothing. Civilian clothing. The decoration have been awarded to you in recognition of honorable service, and you will want to wear them only on occasion, which reflect credit on them and on yourself. Okay. The next segment is return of army clothing. When you are leaving the service, you may want to keep your uniform to wear on ceremonial occasions. However, if you are an Army enlisted man and want to return it for further use in military operations, you may want to take it or express it to the nearest Army post, camp, or station. So simply put it in a container which, including the clothing, does not weigh more than 30 pounds, and turn it over to the nearest railway express agency for collect shipment. Address the package to the Army installation. To that Army installation, attention, Quartermaster Clothing and Equipage Classification Officer. Huh, that's interesting. And you got to think this is World War II. This pamphlet was February 1946, and I don't think the war ended until 48. Okay, let me get back to this. If discharged, report to local board, and this is the next section. One thing you might do after discharge, if you do not become a member of the reserves, is to go to the selective service local, and then parentheses, draft, board, and report the fact that you are now discharged from the armed forces. You are required to do this within 10 days after discharge. If you were previously registered and your board is distant, write a brief letter telling them when and where you were discharged, the address where you can be reached, and your serial service or file number. If you were not previously registered, you must report in person to any local board and be registered. You will receive a classification card which will establish your identity and selective service status. Wonder if that's for the BFW. Okay. You must keep your local board advised of any change of address so that you may be notified of any change in classification or any, that's page 19, we're on 20, other event which concerns you officially or personally. Remember that you have the same obligations as any other civilian. Failure to register or to report changes of address is a federal offense. Go to the nearest selective service local board for any additional information. Okay. The next section is members of the reserves. Any listed man who was honorably discharged from the Army will be given the opportunity to volunteer enlistment in the enlisting service corps within the prepared time after discharge. Enlistment will be in the same grade or ranking which he held at the time of discharge, provided he is otherwise qualified under AR 150-5. Such enlistees will not be called back to active duty except under of except by order of the Secretary of War. It is not planned to be recall these men to active duty during the present emergency. If you are a member of the reserves, the Service Command, Naval District, or Marine Reserve District of your place of permanent residence has jurisdiction over you. You will generally be told which Service Command, Naval District, or Marine Reserve District you come under when you are released from active service. You must report any later changes of address to that command. If you are not certain where to make that report, contact the nearest military or naval installation for information. For further information about the reserves, write to the service of which you are a member. As a member of the reserve, you will not be subject to induction as a resident under the Selective Training and Service Act, and you will not have to report to the Selective Service Board as long as you remain in reserve status. However, your local board can assist you in securing your old job if you experience any difficulty. And a thought, when I was reading this, the thought walked through my mind about, since the Queen died, and this, she pretty much almost, she was just became queen. Also at 50 something when she became queen. Oh, she was still in the military. Okay, so this did I'm looking at the next section that it has on page 21. And I'm sure that some of this, flips over into other stuff. Well, and I'm going to stop because it's coming up on a break. And it's interesting so far. And you got to think, this is February of 1946. So this is pretty much when we were in the Japan. So yeah, most of the stuff that I got is from Japan because Grandpa Paul, well, he's not my grandpa, he's my husband's grandpa. He but he's my mom's cousin. He was in Japan during World War II. And you are listening to Lore's blog. My name is Loretta Nash. I almost said my maiden name because my husband's been gone for about a year. Almost said my other name, my old name, because I used to do this as play when I had when on the cassette tapes back when we could get cassette tapes. But you're listening to Lore's blog, and I'll be back with you after the break.